5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And go. Cool. Beep, boop, bap, beady boop. I think he has to lose. Well, I think that's one of the more obvious points, but does everyone else to win in general? Do they have to win 2-0? It's too much. It's too many numbers. I didn't go to art school to work with numbers. Thank you very much. Actually, with 3D animation and modeling, you do work with numbers a little bit, but it's besides the point. Scan number 1 of this TVT. No one is safe quite yet. In the bottom right is the red Terran. It is TY. In the top left is the blue Terran. He is Bunny. So yeah, TY would have to lose 0-2, and Euthermal and Sky will have to win 2-0, which is really, really unlikely. Why do they have to time it so all 3 streams are at the same time? You know what? That is a legitimate question. Not even gonna make fun of you on that one. It is the last match, and even if it wasn't, even if it was the last match of this group, there was another group, even still. It actually might have been nicer for you guys to have it a little staggered. Oh well. That's something to tweet at ESL or put on a Reddit post in a very polite, nice way as a suggestion for the future. TY can't lose 0-2? I mean, he can, but it's just not likely. Interesting. Shizzle has a good point. They don't want games to be played where players know they already advanced or have been eliminated. That could contribute to it, but the last 3 groups have been a situation where, for instance, Innovation knew he was out, but he still put in the best effort he could to 2-1 Cyril. So it's like maybe a portion of it. Can we get some first-person view of TY later on? I don't have that hardware set up, hardware pirate. If you want to go ahead and steal the hardware set up from the mainstream, then, you know, come over to my house and set things up, then, you know, sure. But please don't, first of all. And then second of all, yeah, no, I can't do that. Let's go at the same time as the match fixing. No, I think there's maybe a little bit too much going on in this. I think it just actually looks really nice. So that you don't have the mainstream getting a potentially, like, you know, 2-0 situation. And then they have to watch the series unfold on their laptops for an hour, potentially. It could still happen, of course, but maybe just trying to mitigate the chances of that. The glory. Yeah, and $200. Right. But it's best question best asked to the admins. So, we had expansions for both players. Super similar builds, orbital commands finishing up at equal times. But the first difference here, TY going for a later starport bunny, pretty fast, really. And why does TY not have a starport? Because he's going for a super fast 3rd CC. Not especially common in this matchup, only common really in TDZ, right? But a player like TY certainly has thrown out fast 3rd CC builds in TVT, even occasionally in TVP. He's really flipping the way he played TVT against Euthermal, that's for sure. TI was all about the 1-base build all the way up to the starport. So just completely the opposite going down here. As he sets up a very secure tank. He's not going to bother with a bunker. There's still a high ground you can take advantage of. And eventually he'll be able to scout that bunny's also going for a relatively fast 3rd CC, just not as fast. So we are getting into the good old mid-game of TVT. Even though Ravens and tanks and whatnot can still provide those advantages, when you're both going to add on a 3rd CC this quickly, you're probably not going to end the game before like the 11-minute mark. Bunker does come down for Bunny. They both are playing reserve because of their perceived greedy build orders. But in this specific game, they're actually... They could both do nothing. They could both could skip bunkers and add on double engineering bays, I guess, or something. Something really just like out of the world greedy right now. Because there's not that much scouting going on, and yeah, there's been no way to tell so far of what each other is doing. What you're starting to maybe like get a check mark, you know, list of things that you haven't seen, right? Getting information from what you can't see is things like, okay, it wasn't a one-base build. They didn't go for a Reaper Hellion bust. Okay, it's not, eventually it'll be okay. It's not a two-base, you know, double Raven push with Vikings, you know, and so on and so forth. But eventually they will just scan each other. And we're going to have Bunny go for Bio and TY go for Mech. Where's that guy that wanted TY to go for Mech in this matchup? He didn't go for it at all versus Thermal, but he is adding on that second factory right now in this game. Scan goes down first for TY. Sees that is Bio. He sees the timing of the barracks. And since that barracks is on like the front reactor, I think he can kind of guesstimate here that the third CC was already completed. It's maybe possible those are the two, like the fourth and fifth barracks, but I think he can read into that. And then Bunny should be scanning return, which he did. There you go. The first move has been made. Was that the first blood? Nah, Reaper died. TY was like, I don't need to send my Reaper across the map. But then he did, and it died. But it also delayed the third CC. And again, if you hadn't already figured that out by the barracks timing, then the Reaper did. Double armory here. Realizing there won't be a very strong bio push for quite some time from Bunny. Bunny starting to calculate in his head exactly how he wants to deal with the mech player. How aggressive does he want to be? Right now, TY is kind of threatening with... They have very, very similar units, right? So there is still a threat here of a push, maybe getting a couple SCVs, maybe getting a bit of a lead. So he's got to take that seriously first. But once he's got that bio ball a little up here, then he can go ahead and try and do his own push or his own drops. TY with a super fast third CC. Maybe doesn't have like a ton of production rights, but he's finishing that up as well. It's more on the subject of static defense. It could be coming down very, very soon, since they both kind of got their ideal economy set up so damn quickly. TY taking an aggressive stance to stop Bunny's push in its tracks. Not going to let him maneuver around the natural in third. Double Raven, a double Raven, but Viking control in the mech player. Makes a lot of sense, but now the Vikings are on the front line, so a single drop gets behind and will drop on top of the SCV line. It's not a lot of units. Sim will be done, but it's not a lot of units, so I think the armories are safe, but... Uh-oh. TY just leaving a tank, I guess, to hope Bunny wouldn't break that. Has pulled his entire SCV line off. Mining is going to lift his command centers. The Ravens here, oh my god. Oh no, TY with his Ravens out of position, gets all of his tanks interference matrix, but at least matches the auto turret, so his tanks will get a couple of shots off before they die, but TY in a dangerous position. He almost got broken here. His third base has a single tank defending it, which is just barely going to be enough, and he will be able to snipe the Ravens now with his Viking control, but there's the drop on top of the tank to take care of it, so the third CC also going to be denied some mining. Upgrades are about to finish for both parties, combat shields included, but not quite done yet. Here comes some more Marauders. The tanks are cleaned up with the Vikings and the Hellbats, and the Marauders will not... Well, they don't benefit off the combat shields anyway, so they won't be able to break the tank line from TUI. Looking a little scarier right there. It was a situation that one thing was about to lead to another into a snowball effect, but TUI holds. He's got all of his production, and he just needed to actually get it all in position. Now that he does, he can add on maybe some stack defense. Looks like his engineering bay is only just finishing up here, so that's exactly what he's thinking of. Missile turrets are coming down. Sensor tower should follow suit whenever he can afford it. Medevac is going to get sniped here. Nice spotting depot, but also just good instinct on that Viking patrol. Another supply depot to the top side as Bunny is now super confident in his production. He's really going to start hammering on top of TY as long as he thinks he can, and then we might see a transition into that starport tech. Already we have +1 ship weapons. Something that that Scan can't tell. It's possible it's vehicle weapons, but... The next scan from TUI will probably be looking more for those additional starports for any Vikings that are trying to be hidden in the main base, and maybe even a second armory. But right now, it is all about the bio on the ground. Bunny looking for opportunities, not finding them, and TY is getting dangerously close to that very solid 150 count where you basically are going to be able to defend 3 bases, no problem. Still might be a little difficult to reach towards a 4th, but TY can be conservative. He can go ahead and just wait and be chill about that. We have the typical bio versus mech matchup, guys. It's, you know, faster upgrades for the bio person, faster economy, versus the slowly but steadily building better army of the mech player, especially with Hellbats included here. It's a very obnoxious style to play against when used correctly. The scan just went down again. TY does see the additional starport, so he has a better idea as to how fast he can expect the transition into starports, Vikings, and Liberators for Bunny. TY, he could try and match that Viking production, but with only 3 CCs and a potentially later 4th, much later 4th, he's going to go ahead and just add on some Cyclones if he even needs to. He's pushing forward here. One for supply actually bullies Bunny back. That's only because Bunny was missing supply on the front lines. Cyberforce providing this choke. Really dangerous for either person to push past this, even if the rocks are broken down. 2-2-1 is finishing up for Bunny. 2-2 about to finish up for TY. And of course, he's already affecting his ship upgrades with that plating. Bunny has his 4th base finished and mining and is looking to cancel his TYs. Not going to be able to. Only a single tank here. Otherwise, he's got to look for the concaves on top of unsieged tanks. No, 2 tanks, sorry, but still not a ton. And we still have the Ravens of TY in play. These could be really, really big. 1 Raven from Bunny is going to Interference Matrix a couple of tanks here. A trio of tanks, and the concave is pretty good for Bunny, but is it really going to be enough? Equal upgrades. Some Cyclones from the south side. Vikings decide to land to cover their tanks as the Hellbats had mostly been done away with. Now they are forced to lift off, or they want to lift off to deal with Bunny's just slightly inferior Viking count. Nice hold there from TY. Bunny does have that faster 4th, and if he can just delay TY's 4th even longer, this could be bad news. A 5th now starts for TY. He's started to make a lot of cash. He is adding on some of those Thors. Thors with that +1 range buff recently, right, are a bit better. And by a bit better, I mean a lot better against, in this matchup, the Liberators. They can actually get on top of the Liberators a bit faster and chunk them down before the Liberators, even with range, can shoot them down. It's always been a bit of a dance. A dangerous one for the Thors, but a little less dangerous nowadays. Bunny placing his command center on the actual location. TY has not been able to send any Hellions out for harassment, or has chosen not to. Just constant pressure here applied. We have that middle, I think Pig called it a proxy sensor tower, and he's kind of right about that. Little low on the units to take that 4th base, so TY is still being denied it. This is a extra minute or 2 that Bunny's grabbed, even though the base has been done and ready to float over for quite some time. And that's what's going to lead him into a superior position for this air. But it's not really going to hold as strongly as it might have once upon a time. Again, Cyclones being an addition, especially since the upgrade is done. They're a little bit better against that. Thor is now better against that. And TY has already been setting up SAG defense. So the old, haha, gotcha, I have Liberators and you didn't have your units in place, is not going to actually kill his defenses. I will say that TY is a little low on the SAG defense in the main base, but I don't think Bunny's thought about doom dropping TY at all this game, assuming probably there's 1 billion missile turrets ready to catch him, or a dozen Vikings. Quickly glance over to chat, and I see someone say TY is so bad. Oof, what a terrible comment. On a scale of 1 to terrible, that is a terrible comment. These 2 guys really showcasing some really cool TVT, different styles, but not super passive. Bunny tried to utilize his bio to get an advantage. He kind of got one, but what you would expect from a bio player to get, those faster upgrades, the faster extra command center. It's still not a situation where I feel totally confident for Bunny, even though he's been controlling the game so far. But here comes the Liberators, and TY is found a little out of position. So many Vikings for Bunny as well. 9 Vikings to 12. I guess TY still has the superiority there, and he also has this Raven to add in. But the missile turrets go down, the center tower goes down, the Thor goes down without killing that last Liberator, but the Vikings are on top of it, and TY will hold this planetary. 7 Vikings at a time from Bunny. Oh, lordy. And also still adding in some Liberators. The thing is, if you can get to like 4 Liberators, which is exactly what he got to, then you can kind of force the defending player to make a really tough decision. Do they try and take the Viking War, which might be very similar, something like 12 to 13 Vikings, and hope that they win there? Or do they try and shoot down the Liberator? And Vikings are very notorious for overkill, and as such lose the Viking control anyways, so more Liberators come forward and just take control. It can be a really tough decision to make. But Ravens also being added in again here means that there's another option to deal with those Liberators, those pop-up Liberators, the type that try and siege on top of units before you can react. You now have the option to interference matrix them, buy that little bit of time. Anti-air missile so far in the, I don't know how many TVTs that I've cast where we've gotten this far and we've seen the Viking to Viking wars with Ravens. Anti-armor missile does not affect Vikings, I think, as much as people think, because when you compare it to like Dorito dusting Marines, for instance, that is absolutely huge. But since Vikings, as I was saying, they kind of overkill, right? They don't have fast shots, they just have impactful shots. A lot of times interference matrix ends up looking a bit better, but also Thors on the ground look fantastic. Getting a lot of shots off of those Vikings, but they can't get in range of the Liberators. They're already sieged up here with that Liberator range. TY also spreading himself a little thin here with the tanks trying to take that high ground. Bunny just simply blows past those. Hellbat dropped to the 4th base and the 3rd. Obviously the 3rd a little more effective without the planetary. But at least some damage is being done. Also looks like TY has kind of given up on the idea of doing the Hellbat drops on top of the bio, which I don't mind at all. He really needs to take this Liberator threat seriously. But TY successfully getting to a 5th base, not being broken over there. Yes, he's a bit mined out of his mana natural, but so is Bunny. And Bunny is only keeping that respectable but not, you know, amazing 1 command center lead, 1 base lead. He's starting to bank a little bit more, but this is like he takes 1 bad fight against a mech player, and that could drastically change. And as soon as he takes 1 bad fight, that's when TY unsieges everything and runs across the map and really takes it to Bunny's economy and production. As soon as he scans TY's army getting out of place, he takes on the tanks. The planetary be damned. It helps out a tiny little bit, but not enough. Is TY too much into his Viking wars? 22 Vikings to 28. He has to be, but he has so few tanks because he has to spread them around. Speaking of Viking wars, there we go. The anti-armor on top of Bunny's Vikings, but he had the higher Viking count. So what ends up mattering more? The Thor's also not included in the play. 4 Vikings not included in this fight. TY is going to hold with his Liberators advanced position. And he's going to actually hold with flying colors, really. 6 to 1. Bunny got the 13 SCVs to damage the economy of his opponent a little bit, but we're talking 5 orbitals, or not 5 orbitals, 5 command centers, 3 orbitals, and you can definitely replace those. Bunny now forced to spend that bank I was just talking about on rebuilding those Vikings. Transformation service was researched at some point, I guess. They're very speedily transitioned. Take out a sensor tower. Just circles on circles on circles, guys. Drops. Oh, wow. That's weak. Those are weak medevacs. 1 medevac takes out both. MVP and Viking. Is it medevac? Viking. Keeping tabs on the potential 6th base. Also looking to maybe dart in if there's an opportunity. I believe TY has building armor, but he doesn't have high Sagato tracking. So, you know, some abusive positions could be had in the back lines here. Scans on scans on scans. 10 tanks now, TY. Spreading them out once again, but also combining them with static defense, combining them with Liberators. He's really just shoring up his defenses. It's 21 Vikings to 10, guys. Oof. Bunny with still a decent bio count on the ground, too, so you can't underestimate it. Gonna run forward as he scans 2 tanks. Again, 10 tanks in the grand scheme of things. In the grand scheme of defending 5 bases isn't actually that much. Anti-air missile on the ground. Tanks siege up. Here come the Vikings, though. And oh my god, there's so many more Vikings for Bunny. Couple Liberators siege up, and that's just going to be enough to send those Thors packing. 9, 10 Liberators? How many starports does this guy have? He has 6 starports. I mean, TY has 5, but he has lost the air war, and he is lacking stack defense, so he just taps out. GG. Bunny, some masterful anti-mech play there. Keeps up his economy. Takes the wins where he can. Bides this time and eventually catches TY lacking in the air war. Even with the Thor's additional range, when you're the one that's being bullied back, when you're the one that's on the back foot, getting those Thors properly in position, catching the Liberators before they're sieged up, before they're protected by the Bio Army. Bunny was really good about that. Bunny was really good. Suddenly, people who are like, there's no way that TY gets O2'd. Suddenly, they're starting to think about their life choices. No, I'm just kidding. Gear is, as expected, going for the 2-0 against Uthermal. What's Scarlet's match doing? I don't know. It's break screen. Damn it. Sue's done with Scarlet. Oh, Sue 2-0'd Scarlet? Ah. See, that was the match I figured might actually go in favor of Scarlet, but apparently not. The foreign hopes have died. So wait a minute, if everyone gets O2'd... Well, Bunny takes third place then. Wait, no. Wait. If Bunny 2-0's TY and the other results happen in O2's, who gets second and third? Well, I'll wait for the answers. In the bottom right, up one game already. Not that that was a very short game, I shouldn't have said that. Up one game. It is Bunny. Sue is third if that happens. Oh my god, Sue, beast. In the top left, there's the red Terran. It is TY, and oh my gosh, if he lets this slip through his fingers, he's going for such a ballsy play here. Oh, of course, he's probably not paying attention to the other matches, but he's probably figured out this is an important match. He shouldn't be O2'd. Not just for his pride on the line, but just literally for his results. He should not be O2'd. But he is tier-acting against someone who could possibly be going for a factory expand. We're paying very close attention to this. No second gas geyser, though. And maybe the stars are aligning for TY. If he faces a 1-Rax expand, it's very likely this 2-Rax will give him an edge, if not a straight-up win, depending on Bunny's micro and his second unit decision, his Reaper placement. And Bunny, despite 1-Rax expanding, you bad boy, you're not SCV scouting. You SCV scout at the appropriate time, you can see their lack of barracks and then barely be able to stop your command center from being down on location. You can then decide to go for a second Marine. You can put that gas, that whatever you have into it, into a factory as fast as possible. But if you don't scout, everything's going to go wrong. This is exactly what TY wants to have happen, and exactly what Uthermal couldn't get against TY way, way, way back in the first series of this group. This is not looking good. It's literally the worst thing that can happen. His Reaper's being sent across the map. He doesn't go for a second unit. This is the worst thing ever. Did he see something? Did he see the Reapers? He might have seen the Reapers, actually. So he is going to pull the Reaper back, but it's already a tiny bit out of position. And it's still a 1-Rax expand, so it's ultimately still not great. He's prepared to pull the SCVs. He's gotta. But that means he will lose SCVs. He's probably going to have to... Oh, no! Whoa! Whoa, those SCVs actually have surrounds! TY staying a little too long on that lip. I don't know if that's actually going to kill him here, but that was not supposed to happen. As I said, the command center, yeah, should be canceled. Bunker on the low ground's a little funny. You don't usually see that too often. TY already following up the factory here, so we can stay a little bit on par with Bunny's technology. Bunny, by the way, not going too eagerly into a starport. He added a tech lab, so he's going to add a cyclone. Aliens do fine against Reapers. You can get enough of them, but figuring he could try and get to a cyclone, risky. But by stopping that one Reaper, stopping the Supreme Snowball, getting that slight scout on the Reapers here, Bunny has survived, but he has been injured. Now down 3 workers. Desperately trying to get the Reaper across the map to do some serious scouting, and that is something he has to do. Look at this bunker. Look at this. I didn't even finish it. I can just cancel it now. The Cyclone will help defend against anything that can come up from TY right now. It's just that, you know, and Cyclone's never bad. It's just that it's kind of expensive, and it might not actually impact the mid-game that much. I actually really like TY's decision not to go for a starport, but just to go for a command center. As he gets further scouting here, he'll see that this starport not really that much farther ahead, although his starport's being stalled out now. But the main concern is that can you get a Cyclone against your opponent's starport when you 2 rocks, and in this case, absolutely possible. He's going to go for a Raven right off the bat, finishing up his command center, so it is not going to be on location, but it's not going to be that far off either. 3 SCVs went down, and that was exactly what Bunny needed to do to even the workers back up. 3 Reapers can always threaten a run by. TY is now down in the army supply. So can Bunny, with the Cyclone, with the tank, with the Raven, and an okay number of Marines, can he get across the map and do some damage? The medevac choice from TY is going to apply more pressure. Bunny does not have any plans to be super aggressive. Actually goes for the 3rd CC, which is potentially also a fine option. Cyclone lock-on, unfortunately, was wasted on a Marine. Tank and Raven being a bit of a juicier option. Orbital is going to be a bit faster for TY, but it's not about that 3rd CC. Is TY going to figure out the 3rd CC? Or... Okay, he's going to go for his own, not too far behind. So we actually get into a macro game. Despite what was 9 times out of 10 a catastrophic opening for Bunny, we actually get into a pretty even macro game. TY going to go for a drop in the main base, only up against 1 Cyclone. This could go well. Let's see if he decides to actually just power through. He does. Actually unloads one of the Cyclones on the low ground, which is not his intention, so a little bit of miss micro there. Oh, he's actually... Oh, if he gets the Raven, that would be really, really nice. The auto turret does grab the medevac, and he doesn't get the Raven. Oh, spoke too soon. He does get one of the Ravens. That was overall not what TY was expecting of that, I'm pretty sure, but at least he got a Raven. Ravens are so important in this matchup that I actually think that still might have been okay. The medevac really should be alive, though, at least 1 Cyclone. Scan is going to see still a 1-1-1 setup here. I'm not sure at this point in time you can tell if they have a 3rd CC or not just from seeing that production. Bunny transfers his starport over to the reactor to pump out Vikings, and he will have a strong positional advantage. No one adding on that stim yet, but Bunny has a tech up on his barracks. TY, not so much. Okay, Bunny is going to look for the push. As I said, he's going to have the positional advantage unless TY's double Ravens, so just a single Raven, really start to shine here. He's actually moving out. I don't know about this. Even if I didn't know that Bunny was moving out, I still would be like, I don't know. This is just not a lot of units. It's 1 tank. I mean, 2 Ravens, sure, that's great, but it's 1 tank and a handful of Marines. Oh, not knowing about this move out is going to be so awkward. His 3rd CC sees it, and luckily there's so few units it won't die, so it's kind of okay that it sees it, but he's not going to be able to deny his opponent's 3rd base. He needs to get back home, but it's already too late. TY caught out of position. His army was already going to be a little scared against this push. With the deficit he had, but the double Ravens could have made up for it. He goes for both interference matrix. His tank lives. 2 Marines don't kill it that fast, and with the tanks all being interference matrix, the Vikings might just be able to do it here. 1 Cyclone going for not just the Viking kill, but also the Raven kill. But it looks like TY will hold without taking too much economic damage. No. No. Okay, well, never mind. 2 Vikings were out of the equation for that main fight because they actually were tearing down the 3rd CC, and TY didn't have any SCVs to try and repair it instantly. I can't really blame them. I would have figured that one would have lived as well. And now TY really needs to go all in here, but oh god, it's so bad here. He needs to attack. He needs to try and get Bunny to at least lift his 3rd CC, but it's not like he has a lot of production to actually do or really committed to push. He's just going to try and take his loss and go for a 3rd CC on location. One thing in this game, if everything had gone nicely for TY is that he would have had substantially faster stim. But I'm not sure that's going to matter as much as the worker lead, the economy lead. So, God. Well. Looks like TY is going to hold off on the upgrades despite having the fast engineering base, and that does make sense. As good as upgrades are in marine battles, it's usually the first thing you give up when you're kind of behind. Hoping that maybe the tanks can cover for you, maybe some good anti-drop defense will cover for you while you catch up slowly in those upgrades. And certainly cast enough TVTs where even a substantial upgrade lead didn't actually kill your opponent. TVT all about the defense advantage. Bunny scans the third CC, sees what he likes to see, which is that it's only just now turning into an orbital, no SCVs quite mining. There's really no other option for TY. If he had done the attack that he was setting up to do, he probably would have held the line for like 5 seconds. If he had tried to go like pull the SCVs, that doesn't work out so well against tanks, so. Now trying to get up his production, but it's so much later than Bunny's. He's going to be depending on tanks, and not even that many. Luckily, King's Cove does have some nice chokes around your third. And maybe he can hold this deficit. In fact, I think it can hold this deficit. He's going to have combat shields faster than his opponent as well. Here comes the Raven battle. Actually, really good shots from TY's Vikings. He'd love to grab that. Not going to be able to. He's being very careful about how he sieges up all his tanks. He wants to have the ability to actually micro some of these back in case they're the ones that interference matrix. He will hold the first little poke there from Bunny, who is going to continue his lead. 4CC on the way. Looks like there is a Liberator going for some harassment, but it got one SCV and then had to leave. Might get a couple more SCVs here. Focus fires. Okay. TY is pretty damn good at the patient play. He's adding on his own 4th CC, really trying to just keep the discrepancy of the army supply to maybe 30, 40 max, and then he thinks he can probably hold with good Viking positioning, with good tank positioning. I think he'd be right, but it really has to be a perfect game from here on out. So many numbers in chat right now, I can't even follow. Good lord. Passer? Seek, are you asking who I am? Oh, that was nice. And he gets the medevac. And he gets both medevacs. Oh, that was really nice. Taking that army supply count down to a simple 10 supply difference. That's what TY wants to see. Bunny still has a lead here, but the faster production that he had, the army supply, that's no longer the lead. The lead is now on those upgrades. He'll have 2-2 long in advance of TY's. They both still have a Raven. They both have a Liberator, actually, looking to take advantage of the air, but both of the Liberators are instantly taking out. The interference matrix go down on TY, or rather for TY, a lot faster. So he wins the air war temporarily, but interference matrixing the Raven of Bunny doesn't kill it, so now it's Bunny's chance to get some good interference matrix on TY's army. TY has to have the perfect split. No, it's going to be so hard around this 4th base. On chokes, yeah, no problem, but when you're concave, it's a lot more difficult. With these 10 Vikings, this is still the 7 of Bunny. He really wants that Raven, just going to settle for a medevac. Another command center is finishing up here for TY. I don't know how he expects to get a 5th base on location, but if he is holding, right? Like if he can hold this push. Oh wow, Bunny, I don't know about this. He's gonna go for it. Interference matrix on some of the tanks. The Marines get slotted to the south side as TY. His entire army wasn't actually here, and oh, that actually worked out so damn well. TY just crumbles behind in those upgrades. All of his tanks weren't in that position, and 2 of them at least were taken out of commission with the interference matrix. I can't believe that Bunny actually did that. The top side, the concave, I mean, yeah, beautiful, go for it. But going through the plateau, whatever you want to call it, like, I thought that could go poorly, but it went actually super, super well. And Bunny doesn't lose grasp of his lead. But damn, that's unfortunate for TY, who really, he had it was all lined up, man. The 2-Rax proxy unscouted versus a 1-Rax command center with a reactor after a Reaper, that's the ideal. And yet he didn't even get that much of a victory off of it. In fact, it turned on him pretty quickly.